What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess. Before we get into the whole point of this video, I wanted to address the elephant in the room, which is my hair. I got a haircut. Here it is. I think it looks very nice. Here's the thing though. I pre-filmed a bunch of videos before I cut my hair, all a part of a consistency goal that I will mention later in the video. That means that for the next month or so, my hair's gonna go a little bit back and forth. And that's a little weird, but you're just gonna have to live with it. I'm sorry. The transition from old haircut to new haircut would have been smoother, but then I got tagged to do the January tag and I didn't plan to film today, but I got tagged and I want to do more tags this year. So here we are. And yes, I know that by the time this video goes up, it's going to be February. And why are you doing the January tag in February? But Rita from Life Worth Reading tagged me a couple days ago. I blame her for this video being late. I do want it noted. I have my watch here. I don't know if you'll be able to tell very well, but it is January 29th right now, which means I am filming this in January. Anyway, as mentioned, I'm going to be doing the January tag today, which is basically a look on last year, goals for this year, typical beginning of the year videos. I will be linking the original creators video down in the description, as well as Rita from Life Worth Reading, so make sure to check them out. So the first question of the tag is the first and last book that I read in 2021. The first book that I read was New Year's Eve Murder by Leslie Meyer. And to give you an idea of how I felt about this book, I can't even pull it out from my shelves and show it to you because it's already in my pile of books that I'm going to unhaul. I ended up giving it 2 stars, which was a major disappointment. New Year's Eve Murder is part of a cozy mysteries series. There's a book out for basically every single holiday of the year, and I was hoping to, challenge myself and read one during the appropriate holiday. It did not work out with this one. I have the Christmas Cookie Murder book from that series, which I really loved, and I've loved it for a really long time. New Year's Eve Murder had none of the cozy, fun elements, and all of the negative elements of the book, it being its outdated views on women, mental health, things like that. All of that was just amplified in New Year's Eve Murder, so disappointing. I do think I talk about it in my recent reads video from January to March of 2021. If so, I'll put it in the cards, link it down below, something like that, so you can get more in-depth thoughts. The last book that I read last year was They Called Us Enemy by George Takei. I gave this 4 stars. This is a nonfiction graphic novel going over his time in a concentration camp during World War II when Japanese Americans were being detained in the States. If you don't recognize the name, he is one of the actors on Star Trek. I'm sorry, I never watched Star Trek. I don't really know him. This graphic novel was a really quick read. It's not super heavy or detailed, but this is his recollections. And at the time that his family was initially detained, I think he was about 4 years old. So what you're really getting is a children's perspective of being in those camps and a bit of retrospection where he realizes when he's older just how much his parents did to try to shield him and his siblings from the reality that they were living. When I was in school, I don't really remember ever being taught about the detainment camps for Japanese Americans during World War II. So if you're from the US and you also weren't taught anything about that topic, I definitely think you should take a look at this graphic novel. I'm sure that there are more detailed historical books that you can learn if you really want an in-depth understanding of what happened. But, this is a quick read. It'll give you a quick overview of what the experience was like. And I think it's important for people in the US to know about that part of history and know all of the negative things that the US government has done, instead of us being brainwashed in school to think that the US is the most glorious and morally righteous country in the whole world. Anyway, question number 2, first book in 2022. The first book that I read was Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I gave this book 3 stars. I'll talk more in a future January to March wrap up, but basically this is a thriller book following a girl who's running away from college after her best friend has been murdered. But in the process of doing that, she hitches a ride with a guy that she now thinks might have been the person to murder her friend. This book heavily utilizes the unreliable narrator trope, which I love. I love having to pick out what's true and what's not. I like being lied to in a book when it's done well, not when it's done like a gotcha last minute twist that you never would have been able to get. The unreliable narrator thing was done well in this book. It was entertaining enough, but the main character made a lot of stupid decisions, and I strongly disagree with the ending. So 3 stars it is. Question number 3 is 3 reading goals for this year. All right, first, stop avoiding books in Spanish. If you've been around my channel for a very long time, then you might have seen my booktube newbie tag. Was it my booktube newbie tag? I don't know. It was one of the first like 5 videos that I put on my channel. So I talked about the goals that I had for my channel when I originally started it, and one of which was to read books in Spanish, because I was raised bilingual, but you know, I was raised speaking Spanish. I never really had to read it. I never really had to write it very often until I got to high school. So I really want to improve my literacy in Spanish. And to do that, I need to stop being intimidated by it. I'm thinking what I may have to do is do like a vlog where I just read Spanish books for a week, if that's what's necessary to hold myself accountable. But I also think that would be a little bit embarrassing to be raised with Spanish my entire life and having to look up what I'm sure is like the most elementary school words ever. Anyway, 2, finish my entire physical TBR, which is not a major scary thing to do. I have maybe 25 books on my physical TBR shelf, so it's super doable, except for the fact that like 15 of those or more are books in Spanish, which goes back to goal number 1. All right, goal number 3, get into poetry. Maybe? I don't know. Poetry is very, very hit or miss for me. I feel like it really depends on the mood that I'm in. I need to be in like sad girl, melancholic, nostalgic sort of mood for me to really like poetry. But I've seen excerpts here and there on Twitter of different poets that I've really, really loved. So I would like to see some of their work branch out a little bit more, because I think poetry is really beautiful. I just don't think I'm reading the right poets. So if you have suggestions, you know what I'm about to say, comment below. All right, question number 4 is most anticipated releases for 2022. I have not looked into 2022 releases. I can if y'all want a video on my most anticipated releases, but I'm still trying to catch up on 2020 and 2021. I did find out the other day though that Isabel Allende just came out with a new book like 4 days ago called Violeta. But I've enjoyed her books in the past. She's one of my grandmother's favorite authors, so one day I would like to read all of her books. So I do think that I will read Violeta this year. I'm gifting that book to my grandmother for her birthday, so buddy read with Abuela. That's cute. I also think Babel by R.F. Kuang is coming out this year. I haven't read Poppy War yet, but it's on my list of books that I really want to get to this year. And even though I haven't read Poppy War, I don't know, I just feel like I can trust R.F. Kuang to put out a good book. Question number 5 is goals reached / not reached in 2021. I didn't put out any official goals for 2021, so officially I did not lack. Unofficially, I reached none of my goals. My biggest goal would have been to be consistent on this channel, which was hard to do when I started a new job and my mental health wasn't in the best state. You know, there's a whole host of excuses. It's hard figuring out how to balance everything. That is why I'm pre-filming a whole bunch. You could say that I'm overcompensating, but if that's what's needed in order to put out a video every single week, then that's what we're gonna do. And I can assure you that at least for the next couple months, there will be a video out every single week. Question number 6 are new releases that I'm not interested in. I think Cassandra Clare has a new book coming out this year. Like, I feel like she always has a new book coming out. I don't really like her as a person, I'll be honest. And the Shadowhunters world has just gone on for far too long. I cannot do it anymore. I think Sarah J. Maas also has a new one coming out this year. No, I know a lot of people love her books. A lot of people feel strongly about her books, and I'm glad that people emotionally relate with books, not me. And then another one is Reclaim the Stars, which is an anthology. 1, I'm not big on anthologies. 2, there are a lot of authors on that anthology that I don't want to support. There's some anti-Indigenous people on there. I'm not about it. Question number 7 is reading habits that I would like to change. I want to savor reading more. I feel like I read like I'm starving, like it's an addiction, and maybe I just don't like being alone with my thoughts, but we're not going to look into that too much. The point is, I just love stories and I want to consume as many as I can before I die, because the fact that I will never be able to read every single book that I want to read before I die is a thought that haunts me. But I just don't appreciate books and stories enough if I read them so fast. And in the past year, it's felt like I haven't really savored the story, haven't savored the writing as much, and I want to slow down. Haven't been doing too well with that this year though, because I think by the time this video comes out, I would have already read a dozen books, 15 books. I just don't know how to stop. In a similar vein, I also want to DNF books more often. I've gotten better about it in the past year or two, but I'm still not great at putting down books that I'm just not enjoying. Question number 8 is any adaptation that I'm excited about. I think the Heartstopper Netflix show is coming out this year. I love Heartstopper. I want some cute, fluffy romance. If you haven't read Heartstopper before, it's a queer graphic novel written by Alice Oseman, completely free and available online. Please search it out, read a little bit, see see if you like it because it's just tackles some serious issues, but overall it's just a heartwarming, fun time. I think the season 2 of Shadow and Bone is also coming out this year, and while I don't agree with everything that they've done with the crows, I'll watch season 2. I'm pretty excited to see Wyland, that's what I'll say. Question number 9, favorite bookish memories. Definitely creating the Latin Lit book club with Lo and Delphi, who I will both link down below. This year, I want to get so much more involved with the bookish community than I am right now. You know, I want to create things that encourage interaction and participation. I'm a bit of a loner, I will admit. I like to be alone quite often, but I also love hanging out with people and making friends. And question number 10, the last question is, any carryovers from last year that you'd like to finish? No, there's nothing pressing. Yeah, I finished all of my books. The only one that I didn't was a Divine Comedy, but I'm not pushing myself very hard. You know, trying to read the entire Divine Comedy for fun is kind of an ambitious task. I don't feel bad about the fact that I didn't finish, and I won't feel bad about it if I don't finish this year either. Same goes for any unfinished series. I don't feel any sort of urgency for it. The only thing that I could think of is I really want to read the Bloodline series and finally finish all of the books in the Vampire Academy universe, which I'm sure all of the people who have found me through my vampire ranking video are so happy to hear. Yes, I am reading Bloodlines this year. Yes, I am planning to do a vlog on it. And that's the tag, everyone. I am not going to tag anyone for this officially because it's February. I mean, if you want to do the tag, feel free to do this video. Feel free to say that I tagged you. I don't really care. I hope y'all had fun watching. I had fun doing it. And if you want more bookish content from me, make sure to subscribe. As I said earlier, you have guaranteed content coming up for at least 2 months. I will see you in the next one.